Hey, gun people! I just read an article on dogs, and I'm doing a couple videos here today because it's nice and the wind ain't blowing and the sun's out and it's kind of cool, and so I'm knocking out a couple videos that I've been wanting to do. So I'm reading an article and I see that it says, and you can look this up, dogs can smell the time of day. And I'm like, what the hell kind of BS is that? Now look, I trained dogs for whatever, I don't know how many years, 20 plus years, in the Air Force, in a Pacific Police. I know dogs pretty damn well. And I've been working with a horse for years, so I'm kind of a quiet, and I know there's people out there who probably know more about dogs and horses than I do when it comes to social behavior and all the other, hierarchy or whatever, but I'm pretty good with dogs, horses, animals, and animal behavior. And because I've trained dogs to find people, drugs, dope, fruit, nuts, I kind of know how dogs work and kind of know some background about dogs and what works and what doesn't work, and when you're training a dog, how you can fool the novice and make it seem like it's very special when really it isn't. And I've watched horse trainers fool novice horse people to where they think that this guy is a brilliant genius because he got a horse do something, and the guy is using pretty basic simples, but he's just explaining it so big and wild that the novice thinks, wow, he's really smart, and man, he must know what he's doing. So, this article says dogs can smell the time of day, and there's some doctor who's got a doctor's degree, and I'm telling you, when I was getting my degree in college, all my instructors were doctors. They had to have their doctor's degree to instruct. So, and I'm telling you, I'm not impressed with people with doctor's degree. Most of them have zero common sense. They have book smarts. They spent 11, 10, 12, 14 years, however long it took them to get their doctorates, buried in textbooks that are written by liberal idiots who have also buried in textbook with no life experience, and they've defended and got their thesis and done all their bullshit in front of people that believe and kind of want to encourage them and want to push the college agenda with doctors. So just because somebody has a doctorate in some program or field, and I don't know what this doctor's even a degree in, it's doctor in so-and-so, I don't remember what his doctorate, I didn't look it up, because when I read the article I was like, this guy's a freaking idiot. But I don't have a doctor's degree, so maybe my opinion don't matter. I'm going to do a video on the milligram experiment, and if you've never heard about that, it's a pretty good experiment, and it kind of goes into our military and why I don't think the military is going to object to orders because of that milligram. But anyway, that's a different topic. But it goes into the white coats, and if somebody's a doctor, they get more respect and they're more believed than somebody who's a non-doctor. So, this doctor does this article and says dogs can smell the time of day. And he throws in some bullshit like, as the day goes on, the morning air gets heated and it rises to the ceiling and then flows back down. And the dogs can smell the difference in the time because of that and can predict what time it is. That is some mumbo-jumbo bullshit. He's taken truths about some things and making it seem really smart and important to get people to understand. Now the next video I'm going to do is how to avoid and detect canines. If the government, security companies, if somebody's using a dog against you and you're trying to get away or subvert that, or an enemy, you find yourself in a war in another country and they have dogs, I'm going to talk about how to avoid and defeat the effectiveness of a dog. And that'll be the next video. But this one, when I saw this video about this dog find, so then in the article it shows a video of some cop who has a dog that's trained. You're killing me, dudes. I try to defend you cops when I can, but when you do stupid shit, I just gotta call you out. So this cop has this dog, ain't no telling there's 9 of them in the whole country. Woo! 9 dogs that are so special, and their handlers are so smart and special that they can smell a thumb drive, and they can smell electronic chips. Okay, people, let me explain how this shit works. When I'm training a dog will learn and respond and find things that are not normally found in a normal environment that they don't expose to every day, and then you train them to where that one specific thing has a special odor because their nose is very, very sensitive. A horse can smell pretty good. They can smell predators far. I think a dog's nose is a little bit more sensitive, and can smell even better than a horse. But both of them are far superior to ours. In the Vietnam War, the Vietnamese used to say they could smell Americans because we were meat eaters and they were eating rice and starving and not eating a lot of meat, and their bodies put off a different smell. And they could say we could smell the Americans sweating, and we could tell they were meat eaters and they weren't Vietnamese. Well, I agree with that a little bit, but I think they kind of might have explained it a little. Because when you get into scientific terms, I think Einstein said it, if you can't explain it in a layman's term, then you failed. So I can sit up here and use mumbo jumbo and climate warming and the ice cap is melting and global disaster is on the way and climate change, and I can use all these terms, and you know what? It's called winter, spring, summer, and fall. It's just the changing of the weather, and sometimes it's different and sometimes it ain't. But if I can get a bunch of idiots to believe me because there's a hurricane in Florida, gee, that's never happened. Oh my God, it's global warming. There's a snowstorm in North Dakota. Holy shit, that never happens. It's global warming. It's climate change. Come on, people, use your damn head. Critical eye. I'm all about critical eye, questioning things and thinking. When I read this article about a dog smell the time of day, I was just like, my bullshit flag went straight up to the top of the pole and went, are you kidding me? So then, this article shows these cops to where they're training dogs to find thumb drives and computer chips, because they're saying there's a special chemical that is used to produce chips that isn't used anywhere else. Now, I don't know if that's true. If it is true, and I can isolate that chemical, then I could technically probably teach a dog to find it. But most of the times, and when I worked a drug dog, I mean, I had one of the best dogs in the Air Force. We got all awards. I trained him down at Lackland. I was working at Lackland. We were training dogs. Lackland Air Force Base trains all dogs for all branches of service. Army, Marines, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, you name them, Customs, wherever. Lackland is the home base for the dog. The Air Force owns the dog training center and they run it. So I was stationed down there for a couple years doing dog stuff, and they said, hey, they need an ARC dog in Ohio. You've been here for a couple years. You want to go to Ohio and work an ARC dog? And I go, yeah, sure, why not? So they go, you're going to have to train it. So I got a dog, went through NARC school, trained the dog, and then we went up to Ohio. And this dog, Herky, was the best dog ever. I mean, I've had a lot of great dogs. All my dogs are great, but Herky, man, that dog he was a great smelling dog. We made a lot of fines. I think we made 300 fines in 1 year, got some award for the Air Force, whatever. But I mean, I was finding a lot of dope in Ohio. Most of it was marijuana. I wasn't finding a lot of the bad drugs. Marijuana was a big thing back then, and you know, we're talking about in the 80s, and it was a felony still. And you know, you got a guy with one marijuana seed and you're drawing there, get on the ground, show me your hands, because it was a felony. So, I mean, all right, whatever, marijuana. I mean, I look back and I all those poop out arrest on me, shit, whatever. So, but this dog was really good. And he would find a lot of dope in a lot of cars that he would respond on, and there would be one seed. And all the base commanders and all the cops who didn't know any better, and the newspaper who would do the article, and they would write and blow it. This dog found this car and found one marijuana seed in the car, and he's the greatest dog ever. Yeah, you know, I was young and I was standing there, yes, my dog, yep, that was me and him. Well, shit, come on. I knew what the dog was finding. The dog was finding there was more than one seed in there at a time. The driver of the car that just got out or was in there may have had a bag in his pocket. That left odor. Maybe they had an empty bag underneath the seat. That left odor. But normally, 90% of the time, a lot of my hits, my dog would hit on a door handle. He wouldn't hit on the seam of the door to where that one marijuana seed got out, and my special dog with his special training responded on this special air coming out of this special seam. And he found the one marijuana seed because he's the greatest dog in the world. That's not what he was finding. He was finding the dummies that were rolling a doobie, smoking it, and then they got in and out of their car and they touched their door handle. So my dog would walk by, smell the door handle, and go, there's marijuana on that door handle. He would respond on the car. I would do a warrant for the car because my dog responded. I would get the warrant, search the car, and inside the car there was only one seed. it would go down as a positive fine. It would go down to the guy who was driving it. If he was military, he'd go do a piss test. If he failed, he was screwed. If he was civilian, they would fire him or bar him from the base. Sometimes they would just say if he's really important and he was a good guy, they would, okay, there's one chance we're not going to bar you this time, but you can't drive on base for a year. You can't bring a car on base. So then he could keep his job, but he'd have to park it off the base and walk or get a taxi. So they would penalize people for bringing drugs on base. Well, look, I mean, should I have told the media and the commanders that, hey man, all you guys are dummies, my dog ain't really hitting on that one seat, he's hitting on, whatever. I mean, look, dogs are not superhuman, can't do things and pull crap out of their ass, and rainbows, fart rainbows or whatever. They just don't do that. They're good. They can smell. I think the theory is they can smell 1 part urine in, I think, 60 million parts of water. So if you have 1 drop of urine in 60 million drops of water, I don't know how much that is, or gallons. Some of my physicists or mathematicians out there can figure out how much water is in 60 million drops of water. But if let's say it comes out to be 10 gallons or 50 gallons, and you put 1 drop of urine, the dog can smell that. Is that super magical? I mean, look, their nose is good. Now, they can smell a person under the right conditions over a mile away. And I'll get into that in the other video about scent cone and what the temperature is and all that. But so they can smell a person a mile away. But a person is putting out a lot of odor. Some put out more than others. So if I'm sweaty and I've had the same shirt on for 5 days, and this shirt has a lot of odor on me, I'm going to put out a much larger scent cone than if I just took the shirt out of the dryer and it was clean. However, if I just took the shirt out of the dryer and clean, the dog, when we're searching, where there should be nobody in our search area when we're looking for people. So they're looking for anything inside. So if a dog has learned that a lot of times when I smell people, there's a little bit of fragrance or soap or downy or whatever, the dog will modify and say, you know what? I don't know. There's no way for me to tell the dog, hey, when you find a person, make sure you're responding just on the scent with DNA and the sweat, and you're not responding to leather on the belts or leather on the shoes or the handprints from the chicken where they wipe their hands on their shirt or, you just can't do that. So the dog will modify what he's looking for. When we're training dogs to find fruit and nuts for the customs, for people bringing in fruit and nuts or meat and nuts or whatever, they're kind of responding, but the more they find things that have human scent on it, the dogs are kind of hitting on the human scent on those things, and you're going to get a certain response of what's called false hits, false responses, false positive, whatever you want to call it. Basically, the dog didn't hit on what he was supposed to hit, and we didn't find anything. So, this guy about a dog smelling the time of day, that's the biggest line of bullshit. If you want to go look it up and do a Google on that and read that article, first of all, he doesn't say anything scientific. He gives no proof. He says, maybe, and we think, and whatever. I'm like, are you kidding me? And it's his definition of the warm air or the cool air in the morning and the heat of the day, it goes to the top. And it's that's normal wind flow. For anybody that does any searches for anything at worth their salt for working dogs, you know what airflow is. You have to work with the airflow to understand, where's my dog hitting? Why is he responding? If he's responding over here, it doesn't necessarily mean the bad guy's over there. The scent could be in the attic and it's circling around, then it's in a vent and it's coming out of the vent up there, when actually the guy is hidden in the attic over here. But his scent is over here, so the dog isn't responding on the person, he's responding on the scent. Is that wrong or bad? No, that's what I want my dog to do, but as a human and the handler, you have to be able to figure out and do some thinking and kind of like common sense. Okay, I know there's not a person in this 3-inch vent, but there's air coming out of the vent. So where is the source for this air? Because the air is carrying the human scent that my dog is responding on. Same way with marijuana, drugs, etc. If my dog responds on the front engine on a car, but because there's a battery in the back or the air is coming out or somehow all the marijuana's in the trunk and it's only escaping to the front and the wind's blowing this way, so my dog responds at the front of a car, I can't be a dumbass and go, shit, my dog just responded on this engine and there's no dope. I guess I'll just leave like a dummy. No! The dog is hitting on the odor Doesn't matter where it's coming, it's around the car, it's in a proximity car, it's in the sit cone in the wind of the car. There's probably dope in the car. I gotta search the whole car. I can't just search where the dog responded. Don't be a freaking idiot. So this dude talking about this doctor, dogs can't smell time. I don't believe that shit for a minute. Can dogs figure things out? Is it genetically? Yes. Horses. A lot of people own horses don't want their horse to grow a thick winter coat in the winter because when they ride them, they sweat and they have to cool them down. They're lazy and they're freaking idiots. So what these idiots do in the horse world is they put their horse in a barn and they turn lights on. And horses will usually start growing their fur by time of day. As the day gets shorter and there's less daylight, something triggers. And again, this is just theory. But you know, I mean, hey, gravity's a theory. Go test it and jump off a building. But this is just theory that because the light days are shorter in the winter, horses start growing your fur. So if you don't want a horse to grow the fur, and they've done studies on this, if you leave the lights on, the days are long, the horse never goes into, he thinks it's winter, and so he won't grow as thick of a coat because he doesn't realize the days and the daylight is getting shorter and the nights are getting longer, therefore winter's coming and he's going to need a thicker coat. He doesn't think all this. This is all just how the body works. So you can trick the body in a horse not to grow fur by leaving the light on. Of course, it's stupid and it's ignorant and it shouldn't be done because now the horse can't sleep. He can't go into REM sleep. He's in the light all the time. You lock him up. It makes him mentally crazy because horses are free-roaming animals, and when you lock them up, they go crazy. None of that matters to the idiots that don't want their horse to grow a coat because then they have to brush it and it gets wet when they ride it in the winter. And it just makes it easier on them, so they make the horse pay by locking up and keeping a damn bright light on him 24 hours a day so he won't grow a coat. So now are you going to say, horses are so smart, they know when the sun's out 24 hours a day that winter's not coming? I mean, come on people, use your head. There's things out there we can't explain completely, but you can reason it out. Alright, so my next video will be how to defeat a dog and in a tactical or combat situation.